Friday. Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show. As always, in the 10 o'clock hour, we take a look back at the strangest stories of the past 7 days. One of my favorite weekly segments, How Bizarre, and how bizarre it is that white boy summer. See, we here at the Dan O'Donnell Show are several steps ahead of the rest of the media on Guess What's Racist. We, of course, featured the phrase white boy summer as one of our questions. It was the opening monologue on the Joy Reid show last night, how white boy summer is now the new phrase of the alt-right neo-Nazi movement. All that and more coming up, including the unhinged liberal of the day on this Friday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. If you'd like to join us, 414-799-1130 is our adventknows.com talk and text line. Reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me directly, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. You can also watch the show streaming live in addition to X, in addition to Facebook, at YouTube. Just search for Dan O'Donnell or Dan O'Donnell Show. Give us a like, give us a follow, like and subscribe. Smash that like button, share, repost, retweet, whatever it is. Spread the word, grow Dan Nation. The United States Supreme Court has released a couple of new opinions every day at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern for the rest of next week, I believe, until they're done with the cases that they heard oral arguments on a couple of months ago. We're going to get a release. Now, I'm watching our monitors at Fox News because I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. I always hate this week in June, especially because June is the term where you typically get the biggest rulings from the court. That's where we got 2 years ago, Dobbs v. Jackson, which overturned Roe v. Wade. Of course, that was leaked several weeks before, so we knew it was coming. But, of course, isn't it strange, by the way, we still have no idea who leaked the Dobbs v. Jackson decision. It was totally Sonia Sotomayor. But we have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. All signs point to Sotomayor or one of her clerks. But we have no idea who leaked it and endangered the lives of justices, including Brett Kavanaugh. Remember that one? The guy showed up in his neighborhood with a gun and called police saying, yeah, I'm having a mental breakdown over the loss of abortion access, and I'm here planning to kill Brett Kavanaugh. Totally sane behavior from a totally not insurrectionist left. So we will follow this. I'm not seeing anything on our monitor on Fox News. I'm, following on X, but it's very difficult for me to simultaneously do a show here and also keep up with and read some of the opinions. The one everybody is watching is the Trump decision on the scope of presidential immunity as it pertains to the January 6th case. In other words, what Trump was arguing is that what he was doing on January 6th and leading up to January 6th in challenging an election is actually constitutionally protected behavior, which it absolutely is, and falls within the scope of presidential power or presidential authority. Ergo, it cannot be prosecuted. It's not as if the president can, to use the example I always use when Trump famously said I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue. If the president of the United States shot someone on Fifth Avenue, it clearly falls outside of the scope of his presidential duties. If the president is caught shoplifting gum from a supermarket, he would be criminally charged. Now, of course, he would immediately be no processed by the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office and sent on his merry way to commit more crimes, because that's what we do. But obviously, presidential immunity doesn't extend that far. There are people who do think, yes, the president would be authorized to commit crimes. I don't fall into that camp. He is still subject to the jurisdiction of local prosecutors, state prosecutors, and federal prosecutors, right? However, if he's doing things like challenging the results of an election, the president is clearly authorized to do that. The president is clearly authorized to say, I don't believe this election is on the up and up. First, it's constitutionally protected free speech. Second, it is within the scope of the head of the Justice Department to say, hey, I don't think this election was on the up and up. I believe this is worthy of an investigation. This is the same thing that sort of underpinned the Trump Georgia prosecution, which, by the way, did you see the funniest bit they did on The Daily Show probably in the last 5 years? Marlon Wayans was doing a character interviewing Nathan Wade, the now fired special prosecutor, who is also Fani Willis, the DA's lover. Absolutely hysterical. We might be able to get you some audio. We'll have to clean it up a little, but Marlon Wayans, absolutely hysterical bit with Nathan Wade right there. But what Trump was doing in that phone call with Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State of Georgia, was saying, look, Brad, we know there were votes that shouldn't have been counted that were. If you find those votes, you will be a hero. If you prove that Georgia was stolen, this is, again, what you do. You are authorized to do this. You can do it. Doesn't mean Raffensperger had to listen to Trump, and in fact, he didn't. But Trump is free to do that. Now, we will, of course, pass along the Supreme Court rulings. It does not sound like the immunity ruling came down today. We would be at DEFCON 1 on the media networks if and when it does. My guess is the biggest case of a given Supreme Court term is almost always the last one that they'll release because, well, the justices know that the eyes of the entire world are on them. And if everything is building up to some obscure bankruptcy law ruling, nobody is really going to care. So they kind of like, I think, having the eyes of the world upon them. Next week, the biggest night of politics probably in the last couple of years. And yes, I'm including the midterm election. The first of, at least for now, two planned debates between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is going to take place. There's going to be no audience. There is going to be no interruption as each candidate's microphone will be silenced as the other one is speaking. There are going to be 2 commercial breaks. Hopefully, Joe doesn't wander off and not come back. And Biden will be allowed to sit down. He can totally stand, but he just, prefers to sit. It's, it's a sitting debate. This is what we do. He's totally healthy. He's totally competent. Folks, Democrats are starting to say the quiet part out loud. That, in fact, if Joe Biden doesn't perform in this debate, the Democrats are going to have a real serious discussion about replacing him on this ticket. To my knowledge, this has not been openly discussed before. It's been, of course, speculated by all of us in conservative media and pretty much everyone with a brain who's ever followed presidential debates. There's never been one this early. There has never been a general election presidential debate before the conventions. It's always been the conventions and then the debates. And I'm going back to the era. I'll go back to the Nixon-Kennedy debate in 1960, the modern era of debates where they were broadcast to a nationwide audience on television for the first time. That's sort of the modern era. It's always been. We don't even officially have, believe it or not, Biden and Trump are not officially their party's nominees yet. They're presumptive nominees, but until they're officially nominated at the conventions, they're not nominees. This is by far the earliest debate we've ever had in a general election. Now, why? And why was it that Biden was the one that proposed this? To me, the only thing that seems logical is for if Biden really falls flat on his face, because they've got to know that this is going to be the most watched political event in years, probably since the last presidential debate in 2020, that if Biden falls flat on his face, if his brain just locks up, that they're going to have no choice but to replace him before the convention. Because once he's the nominee, once the delegates officially cast their votes on the convention floor for Joe Biden, that's it. He's the nominee. Unless he dies, then he's actually, I believe, don't quote me on this because it's never happened. If a candidate dies after the convention, is their running mate just bumped up? Does their name still appear on the ballot? I have no earthly idea. I'm sure somebody could look that up for me very quickly. But after the convention, it's too late. So this happens in June so that Democrats have enough time to audition his replacement. And remember, none of this would be happening if Kamala Harris had an ounce of charisma or political skills. because they would have just dumped Joe long before Biden wouldn't have announced that he's running for a second term. And I suspect that the idea all along was to have Biden serve just one term, have Kamala Harris be thrust into the spotlight, and have her be, because she's in her 50s, maybe early 60s, mid to late 50s, I believe. I think she's 57, 58. She would be the one. Remember, very first most visible thing. She was named as border czar. Of course, the border got much, much worse under her czarship. But she was given a very high-profile role. Remember, they referred to it initially as the Biden-Harris administration. Remember, Biden on the campaign trail said himself he was going to be a transitional figure. He was going to usher in the new generation of Democrat leaders. Now, he painted himself into a corner because he promised, also on the campaign trail, that his running mate was going to be a woman of color. Well, unfortunately, the only high-profile woman of color that really fit the bill was Kamala Harris. Harris was so disliked by the general Democrat electorate, she didn't even make it to the Iowa caucuses. Her campaign imploded. And I think Mark Belling did too. Years ago, both of us were predicting that the Democrat nominee in 2020 was going to be Kamala Harris because on her face, at least skin deep, no pun intended, she clicks all the boxes. She's black and also half, is it Indian? She's a minority. She's a woman. She comes from California. She's got a law enforcement background. She's perfect. Only she wasn't, because she immediately showed Democrats and showed the entire country how not ready for prime time she was. The cackle reminded everybody of Hillary Clinton. The just word salad answers and bizarre fixation on school buses and Venn diagrams, and her ridiculous holding to the canned line, we see a future unburdened, or we see what might be unburdened by what might have been. She says this constantly over and over and over, and she just seems like Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character in the HBO show Veep. So if she was at all competent, she would have been the nominee, but she's not. And Democrats are really in a pickle. This, folks, is why Democrats and their allies in the media have spent so much time over the past week trying to show you and trying to convince you that what you're seeing with your own eyes about Biden's cognitive decline is not actually happening. They did something interesting. As Biden took off for his 7 days of debate prep at Camp David, they let him use the big boy stairs on Air Force One. They didn't want the visual of him getting out of those little tiny stairs. And I was watching him walk down the stairs. He looked real uncomfortable on those stairs. He was shuffling over to his presidential limo, and he looked very frail. That footage isn't anywhere. Why? Because, as MSNBC contributor Ed Luce put it, it's because the narrative needs to be that Biden is just fine and that we should be focusing instead on Trump being a criminal. In fact, he actually articulated what Biden needs to do in this debate, to put to bed questions about his obvious cognitive decline and instead put the focus back on the fact that Trump was convicted in an obvious sham trial.
I think this debate between Biden and Trump in what is an equally close election to those first two is hugely consequential. It's sky-high importance. And there are really sort of two parameters. One is we want not to be talking. Biden wants people not to be talking about his age, and he wants people to be talking about Trump's character. That's really the goal here.
And this is why you're seeing seeing in the media this massive push. No, don't believe. What is it? This was the party's final most essential command. Do not believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. Straight out of George Orwell's 1984. And this is what we're getting. This is why we've had a week now of the media telling us, no, 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 no. Those are cheap fakes. Those videos that are totally uncut and unedited in any way of Biden looking lost, of Biden looking confused. I was watching a highlight reel of sorts of them last night. My favorite had to be when he's on MSNBC's Nicole Wallace show. And he's supposed to stay through the commercial break, and he just gets up as Nicole Wallace is throwing to commercial break. He just stands up and walks off the set behind. He shakes her hand and just walks off. This is not somebody who has the physical or, more importantly, mental ability to be president. It just isn't. Now, there is one Democrat, there is one lib out there in mainstream media who you can actually count on to tell the truth. It's actually sort of remarkable, and I really respect the heck out of him for it. Van Jones is the one guy who will tell you what other Democrats won't. And Jones has finally pulled the mask off and said, yeah, every Democrat in the world is going to be watching this. And if Biden falls flat on his face, we're totally replacing him on the ticket.
This is the entire election as far as I'm concerned. The entire world will be watching. If you are a carbon-based life form, you're going to be watching. If you've got a functioning brainstem, you're going to be watching. Because if Biden goes out there and messes up, it's game over. If he walks out there and a week later he's lower in the polls, it's panic in the party. But if he goes in there and he can handle himself against Donald Trump, a runaway train, a locomotive, a raging bull, then this guy deserves another shot to be president, because that is tough. You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If you can stand toe-to-toe with a runaway train like Donald Trump for an hour and a half, you are fit to be president, period, point blank. This is the whole presidency in a bottle in a week.
Now, of course, the question would be, who is it that decides if Biden gets to be president? Who's actually pulling the strings here that decides whether the figurehead gets another 4 years in his empty suit position? But that's it, isn't it? That is the presidency. This is the entire election writ large in 1 hour and 45-minute debate. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. It's conservative thought, not just talk, and it's coming right back.
Who's ready to save a bucket load at Fleet Farm? Just buy one of our signature 5-gallon buckets for $3.99 and get 15% off anything that fits inside it. Save on Daiwa, Daredevil, and Trilene, DeWalt, and Milwaukee hand tools. Save on snacks, grilling gear, and more. Any qualifying products that fit in the bucket are 15% off now through June 26th. Our bucket sale is just another great way to save on everything you need for everyday life at Fleet Farm. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Tax Network USA is A+ rated and has saved over $500 million for their clients. Whether you owe a few thousand or a few million, they can help you.
Call Tax Network USA at 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com. That's 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com.
Dan O'Donnell here for the incredible team at Mander Collision and Glass, now with 6 locations to serve you. And you hear me talk about my great experiences with Mander all the time. Here's David. I had a chip in my windshield of my 2009 Chevy Malibu repaired today. Scheduling was a breeze. Staff was great. I was in and out in under half an hour. That's the Mander difference for you. Quick, professional work with customer service that's second to none. They treat you as a valued member of the family and not just a number like some of the big national chains. It's service that you can only get with a third-generation family business, and that's why I've been using Mander Collision and Glass for so many years, and so many listeners are now discovering and have discovered the Mander difference too. You can check them out at any one of their great locations, Cedarburg, Brookfield, Heartland, Milwaukee, Muskego, or Waukesha, and start your repair today at mandercollision.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-887-1010. 800-887-1010.
Dan O'Donnell here. Renovate your home with Abbey Windows, a local company that puts money back into our economy, one that's fiscally responsible. Schedule your free estimate today at abbeywindows.com. That's abbeywindows.com.
Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. Family owned, family operated, family values. Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. There's one near you.
This is why I call Van Jones the most honest Democrat in mainstream media, because he says the things that other liberals just will not. I think it's worth repeating what he's finally admitting. And, you know, yes, Van Jones for those who don't remember, he was the open socialist. Remember, he was the communist who was fired from the Obama administration when I think it was Glenn Beck discovered that he was an open, avowed socialist/communist. Man, those halcyon days when Democrats tried to pretend that they weren't socialists and communists. He lost his job, almost immediately went to work in media. And I've always thought he's very, very good because, while I disagree with him, he is absolutely honest about what it is that the Democratic Party is thinking. And it doesn't get much more honest than this take on the debate.
This is the entire election as far as I'm concerned. The entire world will be watching. If you are a carbon-based life form, you're going to be watching. If you've got a functioning brainstem, you're going to be watching. Because if Biden goes out there and messes up, it's game over. If he walks out there and a week later he's lower in the polls, it's panic in the party. But if he goes in there and he can handle himself against Donald Trump, a runaway train, a locomotive, a raging bull, then this guy deserves another shot to be president, because that is tough. You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If you can stand toe-to-toe with a runaway train like Donald Trump for an hour and a half, you are fit to be president, period, point blank. This is the whole presidency in a bottle in a week.
And that's exactly why this debate is on June 27th. It's to give the party, a month and a half, almost 2 months, to audition a new replacement. And then before the second debate, which is set for the middle of September, you give them about a month. And I'm just assuming, I'm thinking if it's somebody who's not Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris might prove to be even worse of a disaster than Biden would be at the top of this ticket. I've just always assumed they've had their eye on Gavin Newsom, that Newsom is going to be tapped. He looks presidential. I mean, he looks like every 1980s movie villain that you've ever seen, but he clicks all the boxes there. He's a governor. He's a handsome guy, big progressive state. He's the best they got. Who else are they going to throw up there? AOC, Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, give me a break. So you got a month in order to figure out how exactly, or 2 months to figure out how exactly you're going to get Biden to step aside. Then you got a month after the convention to basically do nothing but tout Newsom's brilliance and greatness to the American people. Then he shows up, and then, of course, the narrative after the second debate is that, whoa, he cleaned Trump's clock, and man, this is what the next generation of leadership looks like, and just look, all of the prosperity of California, the Biden administration, and Joe Biden's inflation, that's behind us. We won't have open borders. We won't have, I think this has been the plan sort of all along. Why Team Biden is going for 7 straight days of debate prep, it's because they're going to try their absolute best. Remember, Biden doesn't want to be a one-term president. The people closest to Joe Biden, looking at you, Dr. Jill Biden, they don't want to give up the big chair. They don't want to give up the seat of power. Who would? So they're trying desperately, and you are going to see Biden on a cocktail of drugs, the likes of which this world has never seen. All right. Biden's going to be on so many drugs, he makes Hunter look like a Mormon next week. Watch for that. Watch to see how just hopped up. Watch the size of Biden's pupils during the debate. That's what I'm going to be watching for most.
Here at Richlands, we offer both comfort service and expert service.
Our comfort service comes with movie theater popcorn, hot gourmet coffee, upfront pricing, on-time scheduling, plus anything else we can do to keep you comfortable.
Put that on top of honest service from the most friendliest, hard-working people you'll ever meet inside a tire and service center. And well, we'd like to believe we're on the right track to meeting your expectations.
But when your check engine light, tire light, or any other light screams, "Service me," well, that means you're due for our other type of service.
Our expert service. Tires, brakes, belts, mufflers, transmissions, and even engine repair.
Come on into Richlands and put our expert service to the test.
And while you're relaxing, enjoy our comfort services too. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
due for service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. Over the last 75 years, the Lynch family has understood the value of a relationship with their own customers, their employees, and also their community. That's just one of the reasons they've been awarded a Top Workplace Award for the 5th consecutive year. Happy employees provide top-level service, and if you're tired of the same old car buying experience and want to be treated like family, let them show you the Lynch difference. With Lynch Certified, every qualified vehicle comes with peace of mind in the form of a 3-month, 3,000-mile certified warranty. Lynch Protected covers your windshield, road hazards, and paint for 1 year. With locations in Burlington, Kenosha, West Bend, and 3 stores in the McWanago community, Lynch is easy and convenient to find. Come and get treated like family and experience the Lynch difference, or find them online at shoplynch.com.
This is David Bellman with Bellman Homes, and I can show you how you can save over $312 a month and 60 hours a year buying a Pebblebrook Hollow Bellman home in the village of Waukesha compared to a similarly priced home in the city.
Bellman Homes.
Hot summer night, lightning strike. Down goes the tree, right through their bedroom wall, nearly ruining a walnut headboard, which is pretty hard wood. Fortunately, the customers were okay, but the headboard? That wasn't. Until they called us. We made that Victorian headboard better than new. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing, repair, and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. Well, if you haven't heard me bragging by now, we're darn good. Actually, my dad has no qualms about saying we're the best. And if you're skeptical, I understand. But all you have to do is go to MullallyFinishing.com to learn why we're great at what we do and see lots of before and after photos that show off our impressive work. So if you're looking for a name you can trust, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY Finishing.com.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, host of the Designer Yard Show and owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. Do you love your landscaping? Do you appreciate the perfect blend of plants, stone, and wood that embraces your home? Do you delight in sitting on your patio with a cool drink, taking in the beauty of your backyard? If you answer yes, then we have a lot in common. Now, one more question. Does all of this beauty disappear when the sun goes down? Since 1994, the experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services Services have been creating beautiful landscaping that can and should be enjoyed even after dark. If the beauty and pleasure of your landscaping disappears when the sun goes down, you should consider a fully automatic landscape lighting system. The experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services are gifted at creating deliciously soft, subtle nighttime scenes. To schedule a meeting with one of our lighting designers, please call 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Post-traumatic stress disorder interrupts the rhythm of a patient's life and can be extremely debilitating. On this afternoon's latest Word on Medicine, Dr. Andrew Schramm of the Medical College of Wisconsin will talk about the causes, symptoms, and treatments of PTSD. The latest Word on Medicine today, too, on WISN.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster. No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
For years now, people have been switching their wireless service to Pure Talk to save money. Just $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and tons of data. But more people are switching to Pure Talk, a veteran-owned company, to support the America's Warrior Partnership and their mission to help prevent veteran suicide. To make the switch, dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW, and you'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team. Make the switch, same service, save money, help vets, pound 250, keyword SAVE NOW.
Let Tri-County Contracting take care of the outside of your home so you don't have to. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows from Tri-County Contracting. Call us at 262-679-6100 or visit us online at tricountycontractingwi.com.
Selling your business can be a stressful time for a business owner. When it's time to step away, our advisors at Kowal Investment Group, the retirement specialist, can help you sort through your options. Give us a call today at 262-522-4040 and listen Saturday at 10 a.m. to the Retirement Clinic.
Dave Matthews song in the bumper music rotation, Gray Street. DMB is at Alpine Valley tonight and tomorrow. And, folks, I'll be totally honest with you. This, I think, is the biggest sign that Summerfest isn't what it once was in terms of local cultural cachet. Not that Dave Matthews is appearing opposite Summerfest, because he's done that in years past. But your humble host forgot to do something that I have done literally every show I think I've done since I started doing a show. We used to play Summerfest bumper music on the show every single day. And I completely forgot to do so yesterday. I heard it was a great time. Summerfest always is. I mean, please don't miss out. I'm actually planning on going tonight. Why wouldn't I? One of my favorite groups, Black Violin, is going to be, I think, on the Uline Warehouse. Please don't quote me on that. Maybe we should play all Black Violin songs for Summerfest for our bumper music for the rest of the show. And then I'm going to go see OAR, who I believe we have a couple of their songs. I know we have the Crazy Game of Poker is in the bumper music rotation. Wonderful Day, I think, was in the bumper music rotation at one point. So, yeah, I'll be down there. Please don't misunderstand me. I love Summerfest. I think Summerfest is one of the, if not the coolest things that Milwaukee does. And this is why I will never say Milwaukee is a horrible city. Milwaukee's the city I love most. Although, after going to Venice, my young daughter and I both determined that Venice is the greatest city on earth, at least until we go to London and Paris later this summer. We got another listener trip for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. We're taking a group of listeners to Normandy, and we're flying into London, and we're basically tracing the steps, like planning the D-Day invasion, then we're going to Normandy, and then we're finishing with VE Day in Paris. Yeah, how spoiled that little girl is. She's 10 years old. She got Venice, Dubrovnik, London, Paris, all in one summer. You know what she liked? What her highlight was? Sleeping over at her cousin's house. No, I'm just kidding. But we determined Venice is the greatest city on earth. But my hometown, my home city, the city that I love, the city that I hope to be broadcasting in for the rest of my life is Milwaukee. It always has been. I've loved Milwaukee. I've hated Milwaukee leadership. I think Milwaukee leadership is horrible. I think public policy in Milwaukee is horrible. There's a big difference because things like Summerfest make Milwaukee so incredibly unique. There is nothing like Milwaukee, the lakefront, just the vibrant downtown during the summer. I love everything about it. Except the fact that criminals are allowed to run wild, carjack people in downtown, lead police on a chase that ends in an officer-involved shooting, and then the headline in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel is, "Teenager loses her unborn baby after police shooting." Well, yeah, they were, involved in armed carjackings, running away from the cops, and it was believed that they might have been firing their guns at officers. Again, they are trying to recreate. They have been auditioning. Whether or not you know it, the media has been auditioning new George Floyds all spring. They are looking. They want a summer of. It's unfortunate that the Hamas encampments went away. Did you notice, by the way, that when summer break started, all of those summer pro-Hamas encampments, they didn't go to summer school for the pro-Hamas glamping. They all went home to mom and dad. But Milwaukee is fantastic. Summerfest is fantastic. I've had some of the best times of my life at Summerfest. In fact, I think I told this story, but it's worth repeating to just tell you how great the people who work at Summerfest are. 6 years ago is the last time Black Violin, and they're a duo. You hear them. They're a couple of dudes who are classically trained. Actually, technically, one of them did the Suzuki method, which is what my kids study in violin. It's just a method of learning violin, and they do piano as well, founded by a Japanese guy. And I'm a terrible Suzuki parent because I can't remember his first name. I just know it's Suzuki. Maybe his first name was Ichiro. I don't know. But the kids were really young. I think my oldest was 10. 9. He was 9. No, he would have been 10 or 11. I think he was 10. And my younger one was 7. I believe, 6 or 7. So they were little guys, right? And I have them down at Summerfest. It's like an 8:30 p.m. show. And I had no idea how big the crowd was going to be. And I don't want 2 little boys. A, they're not going to be able to see. B, you know what a Summerfest crowd is like. So I notice at the Johnson Controls World Sound Stage, I don't know if it's called that anymore, that there's this little VIP area where it's like gated off and they actually have seats right in the front. And I didn't know if there were tickets you had to buy to this or whatever. So I'm looking around for someone I can talk to, like, hey, can I buy seats into this little Johnson Controls area? And I talked to a security guard, big, burly, older guy. And I said, excuse me, sir, can these little guys, can we possibly get it back there? Is there a way we can buy tickets? Like, do I have to go to the front? And he kind of looks around in all directions, make sure the coast is clear. And he opens up the gate and goes, come on in, come on in. And we're like, what? So all of a sudden, we're backstage. Like, this was not in the VIP area. We are literally backstage. And he takes us up, and the opening band is performing. And he takes us up onto the wings of the stage. So we're now standing on the side of the stage behind the curtain. And he's like, guys, just don't, he points to Chris. He goes, just don't have this little one run off, with a big smile on his face. And he says, guys, come back. Dad, I'll get you a beer. I'll get the boys some soda. I'm like, what? So he disappears. He comes back to the VIP, from the VIP area. He's got a Miller Lite for me and a couple of like Cokes or Pepsis or whatever for the boys. We're watching the end of the opening act. And we're just kind of chilling there in the back. And then all of a sudden, the guys from Black Violin come up. And we're like, oh my goodness. They're getting ready to do like a sound check or whatever, kind of backstage. And we see one of the two guys fiddling with his violin, and he sees the boys and immediately like puts down his violin. He's holding it, and he goes over to him. He's like, hey guys, thanks for coming out. And I said, well, these guys are both violinists too. And his eyes got so big. And like the drummer and one of the other guys from the band comes over. He's like, oh man, that's awesome. How long you guys been playing? My older son said, well, you know, since I was 4. My younger son says, since I was 5 or whatever it was. And like, that's awesome. I'm like, you know, they do the Suzuki. He's like, I did Suzuki. He's like, oh man, you guys are going to be better than me one day because I didn't start until I was like 11. And he's just talking to us. We take photos. It's just this awesome experience. And then we're watching the show from the stage. The boys, their legs start to get tired. So we go back to the VIP area. We're sitting in the front row and we sit down and are watching the show. And the guy that we met, one of the 2 violinists, is in between songs talking about his journey and why he and his buddy, you know, their whole thing is they shatter stereotypes. They're a couple of young black men who come from inner city. I don't remember where they're from, somewhere on the East Coast, I believe. They said we were expected to, you know, do sports and all of this, and all our buddies who played football and basketball, they said, hey guys, why are you messing around with those violins? You should be playing basketball. And they said, we went so far with our violins. We played at the White House. We played at around the world. We played all this. And whenever we talk, whenever we play, we want to talk to young people about getting involved in music and how great music education is. And in fact, just tonight, we met a couple of little dudes who are playing the violin too. And that's the next generation. And we're like, yeah, that's us. They're from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's where they're from. And it was just the most incredible experience. That was the boys' first concert. Both of my sons, that was their first concert at Summerfest. And I hesitated to tell this story for a year or 2 because I didn't want that security guard to get in trouble for letting people into the VIP backstage area who clearly weren't allowed to be there. But it was such an incredible experience. It was such a moment that even now, and I was asking my son, a couple of them, my older one, he's like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was the greatest first concert ever. And it just tells you like what Summerfest is. And this is why it's just such a part of Milwaukee and Wisconsin culture. And this is why also I understand why they moved to the 3 weekends, because it's all about maximizing revenue. And let's face it, you're not buying as many beers at a 10 o'clock concert on a Tuesday night as you are on a Friday night. I get it, right? But it just no longer feels like this massive, all-consuming cultural thing. When I was growing up in the 90s, every single newscast was at Summerfest. I can remember watching these things, and every single newscast was about Summerfest. So every story was about something going on. If there was something going on in Milwaukee outside of Meyer Festival Park, the local media did not care because it was all Summerfest all the time. Yeah, what's the temperature at Summerfest? Who's playing at Summerfest? Hey, there's a new matzo ball at Summerfest. Hey, look at this. This guy's been to every single Summerfest and bought a T-shirt. Let's talk to him. I mean, it doesn't feel like this big, massive thing anymore, but it's still just a great event. And, you know, I've gotten to know a little bit the longtime CEO. I knew Bo Black just a real little bit when I hosted, but I knew Don Smile. I've just talked to him. Wonderful, wonderful man. Bo Black used to call up when I hosted on another radio station, the Brewers postgame show. And you know who her husband was, Tom Trebelhorn, former Brewers manager. And Bo was retired and living in Arizona, so it was much earlier. But she and Tom were still so into the Brewers that they would, and this I think was before the era of DirecTV where you could get everybody's games, so they would listen to the games through the internet. You know, we would have internet streaming radios before iHeartRadio and all of that. So you'd have to go to the radio station, well, everybody knows, I worked at TMJ, WTMJ's website. But then she would listen to the post-game show and just kind of call in and we'd talk. Like, I honestly talked to Bo Black. There was one time, I swear I was talking to her for 45 minutes after the show ended. Just kind as can be, giving us an update. I think it was actually during Summerfest too, because that's why, yeah, it was, because we were talking a lot about Summerfest and just, you know, does she miss it? And yeah, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, we were great friends or anything, but it was when she was that big personality behind behind it, and you'd see her scooting around in the golf cart everywhere, you know, the blonde hair and the bubbly personality. I mean, it was just such a great thing. And again, it still is. I mean, they have got bigger bands and bigger acts than they ever did before. The ground stage lineup, I think, is fantastic. Tomorrow, I'm super bummed out. Is tomorrow the Goo Goo Dolls? Yeah, tomorrow you're going to the Goo Goo Dolls too. Producer Andrew's sitting in for producer Dave. I really want to. It's my 25th high school anniversary, or high school reunion. I know. Do you think? What time do the Goo Goo Dolls play? 9:30 or 10? Okay. Here's what we're doing, Andrew. I'm going to go to the reunion. I'm going to reunite for 3 hours. You're going to have a car waiting for me, and we're going to see the Goo Goo Dolls. Producer Andrew says he's not going to be driving a car by that point. All right, we will have an Uber waiting for us, and we will be there by the time they play Slide. How about that? Unhinged Liberal of the Day coming up next. Dan O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture. Built Right's Friends and Family Mattress Sale is on now. Shop the most unique selection of mattresses with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Choose from the best brands made in the USA, including Heirloom, Restonic, Therapeutic, Schiffman, and more. Built Right always saves you money. Don't make a mistake by ordering online or from an employee-free store. Built Right makes it easy, and with their legitimate sale prices, you'll get exceptional value and a great night's sleep, just like I do on my Built Right Heirloom mattress. They do the research for you, and their team will take the time to help fit you. Built Right specializes in hard-to-find, flippable, two-sided, and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Built Right is open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. As always, they're closed to be with family. So make sure to tell them Dan O'Donnell sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, and I'm so proud to be a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, a Christian, and an American. My wife Amy and I did our best to educate our children about our reasons for embracing traditional values. Recently, Amy and I became empty nesters, and now our young adults are in the real world with the American dream in their heads, their hearts, and soon it will be in their hands to share with others. God is good. Marriage and children are a blessing. Capitalism works, and America is grand. She is rich with beautiful places to explore. She's a melting pot of beautiful people. Diverse? Yes. But we are still blessed to have so much in common. Ignore the politicians and the media who sow seeds of hate. Let's embrace the wonders of life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness in America. Join me in discovering the wonders of nature and the wonders of America.
The hottest deals of the season are going on now, exclusively at the Kunis Auto Group's Drive into Summer Sales Event. America's best-selling cars, trucks, and SUVs. From both Buick and GMC, all marked down to our lowest prices of the season. We're offering Drive into Summer savings and discounts on our entire inventory of select pre-owned vehicles. Choose from over 2,500 vehicles on lot and online. While online, check out dozens of Drive into Summer service specials on everything from brakes, tires, to oil changes. Plus, in June, with any new truck or SUV test drive, you'll automatically be entered to win a brand new Jayco travel trailer from Kunis RV.
Perfect sunny day.
All at your nearby Milwaukee Metro Region Kunis Auto Group dealerships in Greenfield and Oak Creek. It's the Kunis Auto Group's exclusive June Drive into Summer sales event. You'll love it too when you make the summer road trip
Perfect sunny day.
to shopkunis.com.
Do you have a rotted wood window, foggy or broken glass, having a hard time opening your sliding door? Argo Glass and Windows can fix it all, saving the original look and your budget. Call us today and get a free estimate from Argo, where we repair first, replace at worst. Your one-stop window and door problem solver. Call us at 262-372-7110. That's 262-372-7110. Argo Glass and Windows, 262-372-7110.
Aquaticus,
celebrating 24 years in business. Here's Dean Pepito.
Did you know that one of the most overlooked and affordable additions to your landscape is a beautiful waterfall, pond, or any type of water feature you can imagine? Visit Aquatica, the waterscape experts. Let Aquatica inspire your backyard lifestyle. Let us show you how special and unique your landscape can be. 414-520-POND. That's 414-520-7663. Or visit us at aquaticaponds.com for more details.
For years now, people have been switching their wireless service to Pure Talk to save money. Just $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and tons of data. But more people are switching to Pure Talk, a veteran-owned company, to support the America's Warrior Partnership and their mission to help prevent veteran suicide. To make the switch, dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW, and you'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team. Make the switch, same service, save money, help vets, pound 250, keyword SAVE NOW.
Life's a journey, and Russ Darrow is revving up for the ride. Russ Darrow and the places you'll go. Head to russdarrow.com to explore how they can help you get to your next adventure.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere.
Lord of mercy. All night Sunday, Sunday.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
This is Dan O'Donnell.
Consider me the entity within the industry without a history of spitting the epitome of stupidity.
But here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, we highlight the epitome of stupidity every day in a segment we call the Unhinged Liberal of the Day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
America is over.
Today, we say happy 6th anniversary to Greta Thunberg's tweet warning that the world would end in 5 years if we didn't stop using fossil fuels. June 21st, 2018, 12:18 p.m. Quoting a post from gritpost.com, Greta tweeted, "A top climate scientist is warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years." For those of you not great at math, we are now 6 years past the date where we should have at least started to see the signs of apocalyptic doom, because we have not yet stopped using fossil fuels. Happy anniversary to Greta Thunberg, your unhinged liberal of the day. By the way, if you want a complete list, at least as complete a list as we could find, we have got a great video for you at the McIver Institute's YouTube or Facebook or X pages on all of the fantastically wrong climate change predictions that people have made since about the 1970s. It's kind of remarkable to see Walter Cronkite, of all people, the most trusted man in America, saying that we will be wiped out by a new ice age. And then just like 5 years later saying, no, it's global warming that will wipe us all out. I literally go through from like 1971 to about 2014, 2015. No, actually, we end with AOC saying the same thing. The world's going to end in 5 years if we don't stop climate change. Coming up, the racism of white boy summer. Joy Reid's at it again, folks, and we're going to have some fun with that.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
A carjacking case, a police chase, and an officer-involved shooting.
I'm Benjamin Yount on News Talk 1130 WISN. No one is saying if the pregnant 18-year-old shot by Milwaukee police yesterday was driving the SUV that officers say tried to run them over. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman says officers opened fire on an SUV after a chase that ended on I-43. Police were chasing the SUV because they believed it was connected to a pair of armed carjackings. At one point, the SUV crashed. Then the driver backed up and tried to hit an officer. That's when police opened fire. An 18-year-old young woman was hit. Police say her unborn baby died. A 17-year-old was also shot. 3 other teens in that SUV were also injured in the crash. Milwaukee Police says the whole thing's under investigation. The University of Wisconsin has rested its case against former UW lacrosse chancellor Joe Gao, but no one's saying when the school will decide if he gets to keep his job as a professor. University wrapped up its 2-day disciplinary hearing yesterday. Gao was fired last year when his porn career came to light. Interim lacrosse chancellor Betsy Morgan says since then the university's been the butt of jokes, has seen pushback from humiliated alumni, and even had one student ask for a new diploma without Gao's name on it. Gao pressed Morgan yesterday for examples of how he harmed the school's reputation. He said he helped bring in more students during his time as chancellor. Gao's trying to keep his job as a communications professor. Summerfest is not the only fest going on this weekend in southeast Wisconsin. Cedarburg's Strawberry Festival begins tomorrow. Thousands of people going to flock to Cedarburg for all things strawberry, from pies to jams to wine. This is the 37th year for the Strawberry Festival. It runs 10 to 6 tomorrow, 10 to 5 on Sunday. Your WISN Sports Scoreboard: Brewers let one slip away. Walk-off home run, bottom of the 9th, lost in San Diego last night. Joel Payamps gave up the winning run. He struck out 2 batters, but then almost took the game to extra innings. Loss trims the Brewers' lead to 6.5 games in the NL Central over the Cardinals. The Milwaukee Brewers and the Padres play again tonight. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Benjamin Yount on News Talk 1130 WISN.
While most other furniture finishers restore wood furniture using high-pressure water to remove old lacquer and varnish, we only use a chemical solvent. Because when you use water, it will eventually raise the grain, loosen glue joints, and lift veneer. So if you have something really special that you'd like to restore, call us. For the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. If you want your restored antique piece to remain primitive, no problem. Maybe you want to restore it to as good as new condition. We can do that. The way we work is based solely on what your needs are. And that seems to make the process of restoring your unique piece almost always a positive one. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
A refreshing morning, but we should warm up and get a little stickier today. High near 82 inland, 78 lakeside. Chance for rain and thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening with a risk for severe storms, so please be very weather aware. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by Greek Fest. Greek Fest, one of Milwaukee's favorite summertime traditions, is back. Head to State Fair Park June 21st through 23rd for amazing Greek food, Greek dancing, live music, and a Greek marketplace. It's 3 full days of family fun. Greek Fest returns to State Fair Park June 21st through 23rd.
You know this already. Inflation is sticky. You see it on the news. You feel it at the grocery store. It's the involuntary pay cut no one wants and that we can't seem to shake. Annex Wealth Management wants to help. Now is the time to download 7 strategies you can use in an environment with elevated inflation. Learn how real assets can help, which tax-efficient strategies to consider, and one way to increase Social Security benefits. It's a free download and available now. Go to annexwealth.com/inflation.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert, owner of Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage, with a tip for today's home shoppers. You already know inventory is low and both competition and home prices are high. That's probably why you should not go with your bank or your real estate agent's mortgage pal for your pre-approval. You see, the banks have lots of branches, fancy headquarters, vice presidents and assistant vice presidents, and the loan officers who get referrals from real estate agents, they're typically very highly paid. Who do you think pays for all that extra expense? Turns out it's you. High overhead and high compensation naturally translate into higher closing costs. At Accunet, our extreme efficiency and low overhead mean your closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 lower than banks and other lenders for exactly the same rate. Don't light your hard-earned money on fire. Get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval today by clicking on the blue button and put the money you'll save in closing costs towards something for your new home. That's ACCUNET.com.
When Home Depot couldn't help him with an off-size door jamb, they told him to come here. And we had it, with multiple options to choose from. It's true, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door is the best place to go for your unusual size window and door needs. And of course, for your custom orders. We're known for all things windows and doors. And that goes for the knowledge you'll find here too, which, by the way, comes at no extra charge. It's been like this for over 60 years, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. You might call us old-fashioned, but the way I see it, when it comes to pleasing our customers, if it's not broke, there's no need to fix it. We're all things windows and doors, and when it comes to that, we're definitely your clear choice for more. This is David Wilhelm. There's no need to go to those big box stores hoping they'll have what you need, because we have what you need for all your window and door replacement or repair needs at Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Easy to find on 51st and Lisbon.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Find out more at lisbonstorm.com.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
iHeartRadio is the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics. It's the only way to listen to exclusive NBC play-by-play action of Team USA, plus NBC's top Olympic moments, original Summer Games podcasts, and live hourly updates from the games in Paris on the iHeart app and right here on this station. Be sure you have the free iHeart app, the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics.
iHeartRadio.
Be sure to listen to the NX Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. NX provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
You're just a click away from listening to News Talk 1130 WISN in glorious digital clarity via the iHeart app. Click, enjoy, repeat.
James O'Keefe's latest undercover expose. He gets a senior vice president of Disney to admit that they are not even considering white male applicants to hire. Disney, of course, you go to a Disney park, it's all about inclusivity, and the world is, everybody's, and it's a small world after all, right? Isn't that the whole point of the ride? It's a small world for everyone except white guys. You see. Which is why it is so weird that when white guys ever say something to the effect of, hey, it's okay and it's kind of cool to be a white guy. I don't know. Like, why not? Have you heard? Whoop, I just accidentally booted the garbage can. Sorry, it's a Pavlovian response. It's like I'm thinking Disney and I'm thinking garbage. It's like the bell. It's like Pavlov's dog. Yeah, I'm sure it sounds great on the air, Andrew. We run a professional operation here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, and I don't know. My legs are just too long here. So, anytime you can have Black Pride, Gay Pride, any sort of pride, woman pride. It's amazing, by the way. Did you see the Selective Service? They're going to include women in a theoretical draft if we ever get into World War III. Yeah. It's remarkable how the selectivity of when the left knows what a woman is kind of amazing. But anybody can be proud of who they are, except white people, and specifically straight white people, even more specifically straight white men. So something that's kind of been a meme over the past couple of years has been white boy summer. White Boy Summer. Have you been following White Boy Summer? Hot Girl Summer was a 2019 song by Megan Thee Stallion. And this figured into our game show, Guess What's Racist, a couple of days ago, because White Boy Summer is apparently now horribly racist. There was an MSNBC columnist who posited this, that it's been co-opted by the alt-right, by the neo-Nazi right. And of course, you know, if there is some way that you can call Republicans racist, Joy Reid will be all over that son of a gun. Here's her opening monologue from last night.
White Boy Summer quickly took off as a hilarious meme, and people had a legit good time with it. But it wasn't long before the thirsty far right and white supremacists decided it was time to cancel everyone's fun and culturally appropriate the cultural appropriation for their own purposes, using the phrase in their online memes to try to attract unsuspecting white youth to their cause. The Anti-Defamation League describes their tactics, writing that while some White Boy Summer memes include white supremacist neo-Nazi symbols, such as swastikas or references to the white supremacist 14 words slogan, other White Boy Summer promoters are tactically watering down their content to attract less extreme users and disseminate their content widely.
So wait. Saying White Boy Summer, which is clearly, you know who co-opted this. It was actually started by Tom Hanks's dirtbag son, Chet. You know, Tom Hanks has an acting son, Colin Hanks. Yep, Colin Hanks. And he's got a dirtbag son, Chet. And Chet, did a vlog or something. He's on a video. He's like, yeah, we're going to have a White Boy Summer, which I would assume involves a whole lot of mescaline for Chet Hanks. But people co-opted this. It's like frat boy stuff, right? It's like, hey, White Boy Summer, we're going to the lake. White Boy Summer, just like Hot Girl Summer, just like Black Girl Summer, which was also a trending thing in the wake of Hot Girl Summer. Only White Boy Summer is a problem, though, because it's been co-opted by white supremacists.
And at this stage, White Boy Summer is no longer a funny Chet Hanks meme. It's an explicit white supremacist message, no different than when Trump says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country, or that blacks like him because he's a criminal, or that black-run cities like Baltimore, Chicago, or Detroit, or any city run by a black person is like living in hell.
Well, I mean, it's kind of more the fact that any city run by Democrats is like living in hell. They just happen to elect black mayors, but it's Democrats. That's the common denominator here. Don't worry, Joy. Don't worry. The cities like Baltimore and Detroit are equally hellish when white Democrats run them. There is no difference in incompetence between black Democrats and white. We here on the right are colorblind when it comes to horrible leadership. We think black Democrats can be just as incompetent and just as terrible at governing as white Democrats. We believe this with every fiber of our being. So White Boy Summer is now code. It's sort of like when they tried to convince us that the OK sign, which human beings have been using for centuries, is actually white power. Do you remember this one? And nobody's quite sure if this actually started with white supremacists or it was a meme. I tend to believe it was on 4chan, which is sort of like Reddit for even more extreme weirdos. 4chan said, hey, can we convince the crazy leftists that any random thing is like a secret neo-Nazi gesture? Let's do okay. And the idea was, it's that if you can see on the Dano cam, the three fingers is actually in the K, which every sane person recognizes is a K in okay. That's actually a W. And the circle your index finger and thumb makes combined with your wrist is the P. So it's white power that you're actually, I mean, these people are, it's stunning how A, gullible, and B, just pernicious in their hate of anything. Is it, okay, here's another one. Do you know it is now racist to say it's okay to be white? Now, if you were to say it's okay to be black, right? Is that not on the same level as Black Lives Matter, right? You can say white lives matter. Oh, racist. Well, of course white lives matter. Of course it's okay to be white. Of course it's okay to be black. Only one, though, sends the left into fits of convulsions and rage. I also saw a story. There's a big doings in media right now. The Washington Post hired a deputy editor from the London Telegraph, and he was supposed to take over as the new editor at the Post. Well, he's out. I don't get into these inside baseball things, but the president of ABC News also stepped down in quite a bit of shame and scandal earlier this year. And I don't know how I got down this Twitter or X rabbit hole, but I was taking a look at, there's new reporting that she was deeply tied with her alma mater, Florida A&M, and was basically fixing it so that all ABC News interns were coming from Florida A&M. They had 33 Florida A&M interns, right? And I forget the account that reported on this. 17 of them were from Florida A&M out of 33. It's a national company, right? I looked a little further. Every single one of the Florida A&M interns that this woman hired were black, and only one was a black male. There were 16 of 17 black people. Out of the 33 ABC News interns from last summer, there was one white male. One. And I thought, that's interesting, and that's probably got to be intentional. And this actually, we talk about the Disney stuff, we talk about the internship. This is actual unlawful discrimination. If you are saying, I am not going to hire a white male or a straight white male, that is against the law. That is discriminatory hiring practices. Just because it's against a group that the left apparently doesn't like anymore, white males, because they're, of course, by virtue of their skin color, oppressors, which is not racist, right? You can absolutely infer something about somebody's character so long as they're white, and specifically a white male. But with internships, too, this is a huge, huge bar to employment. Quickest way to get hired, and I tell kids this all the time when they ask, how do I get into broadcasting? How do I get into news? How do I get an internship? Work for free, do whatever they can, do whatever you can. If they have you on for 3 days a week, ask if you can go on for 5. Like, work as much as you. This is how I started. I was an intern at WTMJ. I was hired a month in. I was 19 years old, spinning the hits of the 80s, 90s, and today on WKTI radio. You did your intern. Producer Andrew said he did his internship at 33. You decided to change careers. You wanted to do something. Yeah. You didn't just emerge from your mom's basement at 33, right? It wasn't like video games from 22 to 33. He said, no, I was playing video games only until 29, Dan. I'm not some sort of loser. No, but you decided to switch careers. You said, you know what? I'm not happy. What was your career before this? You're a teacher and you worked in college sports. Okay, so you were kind of gravitating towards this anyway, because Andrew primarily works at 97.3 The Game, which is our sports station. But so you decided you want to and you interned, right? So it's a huge advantage. It's a huge, that wasn't your title, but you were basically an intern. Speaking of which, can you draw into your vast experience? I'm almost done with this coffee. Can you get, no, I'm kidding. My point is that when you are deliberately barring people, and this is deliberate, when I was looking at that list of ABC News interns, it was out of 33 interns, I would have to imagine 30 of them were black. Now, you might say, well, Dan, This is diversity. This is giving people who traditionally were not given those opportunities. Think about the 1960s, 1970s. Were there any black interns at ABC News? Rather obviously not. ABC News, run by Democrats always. Democrats back in the 1960s and 70s, openly racist. Now they're just sort of covert with the soft bigotry of low expectations. But that, too, appears to be a deliberate practice by a Disney-owned company, doesn't it? That all of these people that you select, and to be selected as an intern for ABC News, that's a big deal for a college kid, because that could really jumpstart a career. You're telling me not only were there no white boys who are qualified that summer, but that the most qualified people just happen to be African-American females from Florida A&M University. Okay. You see what a problem this is. Well, Dan, they're just righting historical wrongs with more discrimination, because that's what's been happening in South Africa. It's been retribution. It's been government by revenge. It's essentially been a new form of, I'll call it neo-apartheid, where you actually have the government going in and seizing white-owned farms in South Africa to give them to black farmers. Now, I'm not saying that's anywhere near what's going on here, but to deny opportunity in the name of righting the wrong of denying past opportunity, denied opportunities to others generations before, how is that? I mean, to put it into the most basic elementary language, do two wrongs suddenly make a right here? Nobody is ever arguing that systemic discrimination in hiring practices was good. In fact, it's been illegal for a long, long, long time. This is why this notion of the gender pay gap and the racial pay gap is a complete fiction. It's against the law. If you are literally paid less than somebody else based on your gender or your race, your employer is in violation of federal and state law. But what's going on here is in the name of forced diversity, and it's diversity only. This is diversity that is literally only skin deep, because I'm willing to wager every single person that Disney would be considering for its management positions, or its subsidiary ABC News would be considering for an internship, is politically liberal. They have the exact same philosophy. They have the exact same world view. They don't differ in the area which truly makes us unique. Our views on the world, how we express ourselves, how we come together. Does it really matter fundamentally if there was a Hispanic co-host of the Dan O'Donnell Show, Diego O'Donnello, but he said the exact same things as me? Well, what would be the purpose of adding him other than to pretend that we're going to be diverse? To virtue signal, to show, oh, look at how diverse we are. Now, if there was, say, a black co-host who was very liberal, and he and I debated and made great jokes together, like a sort of Hannity and Colmes, that would be something that really, truly works. The problem is the left doesn't want that. The left wants everybody to think the same. Everybody to be just drones who sort of follow orders. And then in the name of making the people in power look good and feel good about themselves, about how diverse they are, to pretend that forcing people of different ethnicities into these positions, regardless of qualifications, makes them good. And that's another thing. The Peter Principle is very real. The Peter Principle suggests that you can only rise so high according to your own core competence. If you rise one level, say in an organization, beyond your competence, you're going to fail. And it makes sense, right? Some people just, they're good at middle management. They're good in sales. You promote them to assistant to the regional manager. I'll call it the Dwight Schrute principle. He was great as assistant to the regional manager. Regional manager might not have worked. Although I think at the end of the show, he was finally promoted to the regional manager. But the point is that and we see this in college admissions too, by the way. Did you notice that college admissions, colleges are going back in droves to the ACT and SAT? Because once they eliminated them in the interest of getting a broader, more diverse student body, they realized that a lot of the students who they were admitting were not up to the rigors of the coursework that was required for that school. Is someone really better off if they're ushered into Harvard when they'd be much better served at, say, a less rigorous school, but that's still very, very good, like Boston University or Boston College, right? Well, what's the point of going to Harvard if you're going to fail when you can easily succeed at, I don't want to say a lesser school, because frankly, I don't think, my kids aren't, Harvard, Yale. First of all, they're white boys having a white boy summer. So I think that probably takes them out right away. But I don't think I'd want them going to an Ivy League school. To see them come back as a transgender Hamas supporter wearing a keffiyeh and a Ukrainian flag shirt screaming about reparations. No, I think I'll pass on that one. Thank you. But the point is that if, let's say, I'm a perfect example, okay? I was a very good student. I was a very, I'm not sure I would have been able to make it at a Harvard. I'm not sure I would have been able to make it at a Yale. I went to a Marquette. I was at the level of UW-Madison, Marquette, and I did just fine. Law school, too. Had I gone to Yale, right? It's very possible I flunk out. I go to UW-Madison, which is still very highly rated law school, but just not on that top tier. I did just fine. The Peter Principle is something that I think we're trying through this agonized, pained diversity push, something that we're ignoring. And this is not to suggest, as I'm sure it will be misinterpreted, well, Dan O'Donnell thinks that black and brown students can't succeed at Harvard. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying standardized testing is not racist. Grades are not racist. They are the best objective indicators of future performance in a higher educational setting that we have. And to conscientiously push away those objective factors in the name of, oh, well, you've got the right skin color, you check the right box, okay, let's get you in here. That's the absolute wrong way to get to diversity. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Let's have some fun, shall we? How bizarre, coming up next.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One.
Coming back to Las Vegas. September 20th and 21st. Streaming live only on Hulu.
Don't miss
Big Sean, Camila Cabello, Doja Cat, Gwen Stefani, Hozier, Keith Urban, New Kids on the Block, Paramore, Shabuzi, The Black Crowes, Thomas Rhett, Victoria Monet,
and more.
Get tickets to our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, right now, before they sell out.
At AXS.com.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage, so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cab overs than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit LynchTruckCenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
Need to sell your home fast? Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer can help you with that. Get cash for your home quick, no matter the reason you're selling it or the condition it's currently in. Visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com and find out about how you can sell your home fast for cash.
Life's a journey, and Russ Darrow is revving up for the ride. Russ Darrow and the places you'll go. Head to russdarrow.com to explore how they can help you get to your next adventure.
A violent crime is committed every 24 seconds. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists to provide you with firearms education, training, and access to self-defense liability insurance. So when trouble comes, you'll be ready. Over 800,000 Americans trust the USCCA, and right now, there's an exclusive, limited-time offer for radio listeners. Go to defendfamily.com to get a free family defense guide, a survival secrets training video from a retired FBI agent, and see all the benefits of membership. Go to defendfamily.com now.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
It is that time of the week where we set aside the serious and focus on the silly. It's a little segment here on the Dan O'Donnell Show that we call... Well, how bizarre, how bizarre. That is not actually the... We've got a backup producer here. Hold on one second. I have to tell producer Andrew where the actual soundbite is. Yeah, it's not the actual long song. It's a cut that we have. All right, this is a jam, though, I'll tell you. Let's just keep this rolling. We'll do it a little bit different this week. The world's largest airline pilot union is suggesting airmen and women stop using terms that are supposedly offensive to women and the LGBTQ community, calling out terms like cockpit as non-inclusive. Airline Pilots Association International represents over 70,000 pilots worldwide, and it states that it collaborates with the United Nations agency on its policies. According to its new DEI language guidelines, ALPA lists numerous terms and phrases to avoid, especially masculine generalizations. Okay? Some of those include cockpit. Do you have them? No? It's all right. Just leave this be. We'll let it play, producer Andrew. Replace the word cockpit with flight deck. The purportedly offensive term has been and may be used in a derogatory way to exclude women in the piloting profession. Okay. Now, cockpit, as the guide says, many women have heard a variation of it called, it's called cockpit for a reason by a male pilot, suggesting that women do not belong in the piloting position. No. In fact, the term cockpit actually originated from cockfighting in 16th century England. You're in the cockpit in the cocks fighting each other, and the confined space, the noise, the blood, the fetid air apparently reminded people of the original cockpits in the cockpit in plane. Similarly, the ALPA guide called for the words man and men to be avoided, offering suggestions for the word manpower, including people power or human power. As an example, who will provide the human power to support this event? ALPA also is advising against using mother or father because that phrasing could alienate different family structures such as grandparents, caregivers, and same-sex parents. Similarly, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend also should be avoided. ALPA did not immediately respond to a request from the New York Post for comment. Alexander Morris, the lead singer of Motown's legendary Four Tops, has now sued a hospital in Michigan, claiming racial discrimination after staff members assumed he was delusional when he said he was in the Four Tops, and they actually put him in a straitjacket. Morris, who is black and joined the iconic vocal quartet in 2018, went to Ascension Macomb Oakland Hospital in Warren, Michigan, last April with clear symptoms of cardiac distress. He had difficulty breathing, chest pain, placed on oxygen. But when he informed a nurse and a security guard in the emergency room that he was a member of the Four Tops and had security concerns because of stalkers and fans, they didn't believe him. Instead, a doctor ordered a psychological evaluation, and according to the lawsuit, Morris was restrained for at least an hour and a half. He says, "It was a terrifying experience to be in the middle of a medical emergency, to be placed into restraints, to have my oxygen turned off, my personal effects taken from me, and no help from the doctors and nurses because of the color of my skin. Racial profiling nearly cost me my life." Now, of course, was it actually racial profiling? No. The guy is saying, hey, I'm a member of the Four Tops. Everyone knows the Four Tops were from the 60s, right? So they would assume he's 53 years old. He's too young to be in. Now, if I'm a doctor or somebody, I would kind of take that at face value, maybe ask a couple of follow-up questions like, oh, man, that's really cool. Like, where are you guys touring? And then, maybe surreptitiously check the phone to see if he's telling the truth. But could you imagine if Justin Timberlake, when he got his DUI arrest, because apparently the cop was too young to recognize Justin Timberlake, he's a 25-year-old guy. And apparently this police officer had no idea who he was. And this is making me feel positively ancient right now. But Timberlake apparently said something during the arrest like, oh man, this is really going to mess up the tour. And the cop goes, what tour? And he goes, the world tour. At that point, the cop was like, oh, huh. Well, I'm going to be famous now. Yeah. So, unfortunately, do we have the right? Do we have the right? How bizarre? Yes, you found it. Andrew. I knew you'd get it. All right, here we go. So, that was the end of that story. Now we're going to go to the next story in a segment we call
How Bizarre.
Ah, you got it.
How bizarre. How bizarre.
This is sort of a trial by fire for young producer Andrew. Our final story today. This is truly one of the weird ones, and I can imagine it's got to be some viral marketing stunt. A strange monolith that looks like it could have come from another world just suddenly appeared in the desert outside of Las Vegas. If it was anywhere other than in the desert outside of Las Vegas, I might have believed that it was an alien craft. Where did it come from? Still a mystery that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says it's trying to solve after learning about it on Monday through a post on social media. Las Vegas police said on X, members of its search and rescue unit found the otherworldly object over the weekend near Gas Peak, part of the Desert National Wildlife Refuge. He says, we see a lot of weird things when people go hiking, like not being prepared for the weather, not bringing enough water. But check this out. Photos accompanying the department's post show the strange structure standing tall against a bright blue sky with distant views of the Las Vegas Valley. It evokes the object that appears in the Stanley Kubrick movie 2001, A Space Odyssey. The police department didn't respond to immediate requests for comment from the Associated Press, but this is the latest in a series of mysterious shiny columns popping up around the globe since at least 2020. In November of 2020, similar metal monolith was found deep in the Mars-like landscape of Utah's Red Rock Desert. Then came sightings in Romania, Central California, and on the famed Fremont Street in downtown Las Vegas. All of them disappeared as quickly as they popped up. The Utah structure, which captured the world's imagination during the pandemic, is believed to be the first in the series, standing about 12 feet tall and was embedded in the rock in an area so remote that officials didn't immediately reveal its location for fear of people getting lost or stranded while trying to find it. Now, these are clearly not alien structures. So what are they? I think the obvious thing is some sort of art exhibit that over the next couple of years, some artist is going to take credit for. It's going to be called Aliens in the Desert or something like that. It's either a prankster or an avant-garde artist, but nonetheless, it is still very bizarre. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your weekly look back at the strangest stories of the week in a segment we call
How Bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Dan O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. Built Right's Friends and Family sale is on now. Shop where the O'Donnell family shops. Now more than ever, it's the time to support Built Right, a locally and family-owned business for 4 generations and 96 years strong. Built Right has the best team and selection of affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses in Wisconsin. Their 45,000 square foot showroom has thousands of items in stock, plus 500 mattresses. Check out Built Right's outlet and clearance center located inside their showroom for special deals. You'll get the lowest prices on popular brands like Smith Brothers, Elran, Heirloom, and Therapeutic. Built Right always saves you money. Voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association Retailer of the Year. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan O'Donnell sent you to Built Right, easily located at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement to stock market risk? How would you like the potential to participate in credited interest from market index returns and limit the downside? Join Joe Brown for the Safe Money and Income Radio Show on Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and 8 p.m.
With nearly 50 years of experience, my dad, Jim Mullally, has taught my cousin Mark everything he knows. In fact, he bestowed so much expertise onto Mark that Mark went to New York to compete against the top furniture finishers in the country. And you know what? He won. So if you're looking for the finest of furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. The bulk of our business is in wood furniture restoration. We found that there are a lot of folks out there with antique furniture and heirloom pieces that are in good shape, but just need to be brought back to life again. Well, that's our specialty. And right here in Mequon, you'll find one of the country's top furniture finishers. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Each day, there's a sliver of time when you can almost breathe freely, and you feel better when you can. But you know that eventually that sliver of time closes, along with your nose. It puts a damper on your day every day. So you pop a pill or you take a spray to try to get that relief back. But it's always short-lived. And all the while, in your efforts to give yourself relief, you may be making your nasal breathing problems worse. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and a simple in-office procedure from Advent called balloon sinuplasty could be the fast and convenient answer to your breathing triangle problems. Advent has been a leader in this procedure, which can be hard to find elsewhere. It's simple, there's little to no downtime, and it really can be life-changing.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
This week with Annex Wealth Management, Dan O'Donnell alongside the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano, and it was last week's Fed meeting that is still reverberating, not just on fiscal policy, Dave, but also in the world of politics.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, when the Fed meets, it certainly has a political impact. And the Fed had their meeting last week, and they talk about what they're going to do. Well, they're not going to raise rates this time, and that was the takeaway, is because they only made modest expansion of what they're trying to do. And obviously their goal is to get to 2% inflation, and it's still tracking a little bit higher than that. But why is it important? Because the Federal Reserve, they try to stay out of politics, Dan, but you know they're not, and it's going to become a political issue before the election. They had this thing called the dot plots. I call them the dart plots because it's a guess, but the dot plots suggested at the beginning of the year that they were going to have between 4 and 6 rate cuts in 2024. The most recent dot plots suggest probably 1 in December. And that just goes to show you that they're not on the same page, because the details that they're trying to get to, they're not lining up with their mantra. Their mantra is that inflation was going to get back down to this 2% target. Dan, that is not happening for lots of reasons. How did we get in this position? Extraordinary fiscal impact. $2 trillion were put into the economy. Number one, monetary policy also was part of that, where you kept ZIRP, zero interest rate policy, for years and years and years. Those two things are definitely contributing to the inflation that we have today.
And that's why, because of all this uncertainty surrounding inflation, surrounding when and how many, or if ever, we're going to see a rate cut, you need to know what you own and why you own it. You need to get a free wealth metric, a review of your portfolio at AnnexWealth.com. For Dave Spano, CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Tax Network USA is A+ rated and has saved over $500 million for their clients. Whether you owe a few thousand or a few million, they can help you.
Call Tax Network USA at 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com. That's 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show, as President Biden has now gone into hiding for 7 straight days of debate prep ahead of next Thursday's tussle with former President Donald Trump. One wonders if one of the big things is going to be to get Biden to stop saying inflation was 9% when he took office. His Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, was on Neil Cavuto's show on Fox News, and Cavuto confronted her over this, like, hey, Janet, do you think you could pull him aside and say inflation was 1.4% when you took office, and it almost immediately got to 40-year highs within 6 months of your policies taking effect?
But he keeps saying it was 9% when he took office. You're the top money person in the White House, and you know that was not the case. Have you ever tried to pull him aside and say, Mr. President, just so you know, inflation was not that high when you took office?
Well, look, the pandemic had hit the economy, hit America and the world with full force at the time that President Biden assumed office. And
which is why it was so low, right? Which is why it was so low when he took office. So I know that factors behind that and what was going on, and you're quite right to point that out. But he doesn't. He doesn't say that.
Well, inflation hit 9% at its peak.
16 months after he took office.
That was due to inflation was lower before the pandemic. That's absolutely true.
That's kind of a big admission now, isn't it? Inflation. Now, she says the pandemic. No, inflation was much lower before Biden. That's absolutely true. When even Democrats are admitting that the, quote, original sin of hyperinflation in 2021 to about 2023 is the stimulus bill. It was, A, Biden's war on domestic oil production, which dramatically increased the cost almost immediately, having a ripple effect throughout the broader economy, and then the stimulus bill that was effectively keeping people out of the workforce, creating a massive supply chain crunch, while simultaneously giving them more disposable income. So you had more income chasing more money, chasing fewer goods that were being produced. The classic recipe for inflation. You had Lawrence, who was it? It was Obama's Treasury Secretary that was, or Clinton's Treasury Secretary that was warning about it. I keep wanting to say Lawrence Tribe, but he's the crazy Harvard professor. You had even liberal economists warning that this is going to cause inflation. They said, no. We have Janet Yellen. She knows how to keep, she's the former treasurer. She's the former Fed Reserve chairwoman. She knows how to keep inflation down. You people are nuts. And inflation turned out to be anything but transitory. Lawrence Summers, thank you very much. Producer Andrew. Larry Summers wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post about a day, I think it was February of 2021, after Biden got the stimulus bill passed through one of the two houses of Congress. He said, look, they need to be real careful about this because all the pieces are in place for massive inflation. I can remember then Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about it. There was an a Biden financial spokesman out there and saying, he said, look, we got Janet Yellen. We're fine. Just the utter arrogance of these people. And then, of course, by summer of 2021, we had 40-year highs. Inflation had spiked to 6% year over year. By the summer of 2022, it was at 9%. And essentially, there was nowhere for prices to go, or at least the rate of price increases. So that's the reason that price increases have gone. Prices haven't gone down. People are still paying 30% more for groceries than they were when Trump was president. This, I believe, and a lot of people do believe, this is the single biggest factor that's going to cost Biden re-election. The fact that people can no longer afford their lives. We'll wrap up this busy broadcast week in just a second when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage, so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cab-overs than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit LynchTruckCenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
And that's the best thing about Capital's AC Beyondification.
Absolutely.
I agree. Hey, Merle, what you got? What's this? A screenplay?
Let me see this. Captain Capital, Heat and Air Hero.
That's so awesome, Merle.
Hang on. I've been writing a screenplay like this.
For years.
It's an epic, and it's Capital Man, not Captain Capital. Yes, of course he restores your air conditioner to like new condition.
Says here, Captain Capital has a deep clean device.
Aha! Capital Man deep cleans your system with his laser beam hands.
What?
I'm developing a sidekick. He always does the comprehensive safety checks. You wrote yourself in as the sidekick?
As long as it gets across how Capital's AC Beyondification saves the day.
And how you want to do it before summer hits.
Well, that's the whole point.
That's what I'm saying.
Then it's great.
Laura, Seth, I need a moment with Merle, please.
Schedule your AC Beyondification today online at callcapitalcares.com.
A violent crime is committed every 24 seconds. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists to provide you with firearms education, training, and access to self-defense liability insurance. So when trouble comes, you'll be ready. Over 800,000 Americans trust the USCCA, and right now, there's an exclusive, limited-time offer for radio listeners. Go to defendfamily.com to get a free family defense guide, a survival secrets training video from a retired FBI agent, and see all the benefits of membership. Go to defendfamily.com now.
Whether it's a complete kitchen or bath remodeling or replacement fixtures, the experts at S&K Remodeling can help you. Their designers have their fingers on the pulse of your dreams. Stop by the S&K working showroom and let the remodeling team show you ideas from ordinary to extraordinary. Call 262-782-7185 or visit SNKRemodeling.com.
When it comes to remodeling, one call does it all. S&K Remodeling.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
The housing market stays hot and prices stay high, with low inventory continuing to be the main culprit. Bob Tarantino from Redefined Realty, and that's great news for sellers. High interest rates don't seem to be slowing down the buyers, but high real estate commissions are a real stick in the eye to sellers. Interview a 3.99% Redefined Realty agent before signing a contract for 5 or even 6%. Commissions are negotiable, but you have to know where to start. Visit redefinedrealty.com for your free market analysis.
It was a sobering headline. Social Security to run short by 2035. A possible 17% reduction in benefits. At Annex Wealth Management, we feel that Social Security is only one leg of the retirement stool, but it provides needed balance. It's time to stress test your retirement plan and move forward with guidance from the fee-only fiduciaries at Annex. Do it for you, your family, your legacy. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. It only takes a few minutes to get the ball rolling. Head to annexwealth.com. Click the Get Started button.
Infinity's app shows precise costs of your new roof, providing peace of mind.
Infinity costs less, and the price we quote is surprise-free.
Because we pay less, you pay less. Warranted, guaranteed quality.
Installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
I said, oh, you say I say revolution, and you say
A talk radio revolution. This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
I say revolution, and you say
OAR at Summerfest tonight. The lineup is actually pretty good. I said both producer Andrew and I are going to be down there seeing OAR tonight. I'm actually going to be there a lot earlier than that because I'm going to see Black Violin, the hip-hop and EDM violin duo who figure very heavily into the bumper music rotation here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. EMF. Do you remember their big hit? You're too young. You're too young, Andrew. You're unbelievable. Down. Yeah. Every 90s kid knows. En Vogue is going to be there. It's basically a 90s and 80s night at Summerfest. You got Jesus Jones, Modern English opening up for EMF. You have got Hanson at the, where are they? The BMO Harris Pavilion. Briggs & Stratton Big Backyard is where you'll find OAR. Oh, yeah. No, this was, Hanson was ultimate 90s. What did Bop come out in about 93, 94, 95, somewhere in there, mid-1990s. Gavin DeGraw and Drowning Pool opening for them. And the big act, come on. Doesn't get more 80s than this, right? Motley Crue with Seether and Buck Cherry are on the American Family Insurance Amphitheater. Tomorrow night, also going to be a great night at Summerfest as well, where you've got the Goo Goo Dolls, who both producer Andrew and I really want to see. Only one of us is probably going to be able to. AWOL Nation, Black Pumas, one of the Thompson twins, and a band that always puts on a great show. I'm a big fan of these guys. Humphreys McGee, SZA, along with Amine, are the big headliners at the American Family Insurance Amphitheater. And then it's done for another week. Until Thursday, June 27th. And then you've got July 4th, 5th, and 6th as well to wrap it up. So it's no longer an 11-day festival. It's a 9-day festival. And I guess I get why they're doing it. Again, I do. I just think maybe for the first 2 weekends, so you still get 11 days, could you do the Sunday nights? Although I had heard that the last night of Summerfest, and I've been there on the last night, I think I saw 311, this had to have been 15 years ago, on the last night of Summerfest, as I recall, it was raining. it was just, there was nobody there. And I have been told by people in the know that the Sunday night is just an absolute dead zone. It's hard to book bands. Nobody wants to go. They're kind of fested out. But to get back to that 11 days, why not the first 2 Sundays? Although I think you'd probably run into the same basic issue that people just they're not in the mode to party on a Sunday night or a Monday night or a Tuesday night. And again, I get it as a business move, and I think it's probably the correct move. Just color me nostalgic for 11 straight days of fun. Hope everyone has a wonderful and safe weekend. Back Monday morning.